Attention flower farmers, let me introduce you to the Flower Farmer Club, a community dedicated to continuing education, cultivating business grit, and helping you to become the flower farmer you've dreamed of. As a member, you'll enjoy master classes on timely farming topics, the Bloomcast, which is an inspirational and informative podcast, the Sowing Circle to sow and talk seeds, the private community to network with other flower farmers, and then the Flower Farmer Forum, a virtual meetup with a mini training and a live Q&A. But that's not all. Our seasonal challenges will put your skills to the test to see just how much you're capable of. Friends, join the Flower Farmer Club today and watch your dreams take root.
Hello everyone. Welcome to Ask a Florist Anything. I'm excited to have you all here. I'm Ellen Frost. I'm the owner of Local Color Flowers. We are a floral design studio located in Baltimore, Maryland. I am a florist who sources all of my flowers locally. So I am just started my 18th year as a florist, and I source everything locally. In addition to being a florist, I do lots of other things. I create YouTube videos that I put out every Tuesday. You can look it up at Ellen Frost Flowers on YouTube. These are instructional videos, mostly about floral design. So if you're a hobbyist or a farmer or even a wannabe designer, these videos are great for you. So you can check out our YouTube. I also write a weekly newsletter all about flowers, which you can find on my website, ellenfrost.com. I also teach 2 classes with the Gardener's Workshop. One is called Growing Your Business with Local Flower Sourcing, which is for farmers and florists who want to build a business around sourcing flowers locally. I also teach a short course that is called Preparing to Sell to Florists, which is a great class. It's only $50 if you are thinking of selling flowers to florists. This is a great class for you. So I do all of those things. I also, lastly, but not least important, run an online community called Flower More. And it is so much fun. It is the most fun thing I do. It is a private community. You're all welcome to join. It's Flower More is the name. You can find it at ellenfrost.com. And it is a place where we, as a community, learn about floral design, learn about local flowers, learn about gardening, growing flowers, the business of flowers. We go on flower adventures together. All kinds of amazing things. So I hope you will consider checking that out. So today, this is Ask Me Anything. So you can ask me anything. I am not a farmer. I am a florist. So I work with a lot of farmers. I buy flowers from about 40 different local farms. I have been doing that for the last 18 years. So I have a really good, strong connection with our farming community. I will tell you a little bit about our business. We started 18 years ago as a wedding florist sourcing locally. So a florist that only sourced local flowers for weddings. We have expanded. Now we do classes, retail, weddings, corporate events, all kinds of things. So let me jump in here with some questions. What would your advice be for a new flower farmer starting out with a blank canvas of land? From my perspective, you have to figure out who your customer is. So who are you going to sell to? And that for me is the first question. I know if you're on the farming side, you might be thinking of what should I grow? How do I prepare the soil? But until you understand who your customer is, you don't know what flowers to grow, because growing for florists is a lot different than growing for a farmer's market or for some other customer. Florist customers are very particular. So it's important to understand who your customer is before you even get started. Do you have any tips for putting together market bouquets? We do wrapped bouquets at our shop. We love to include what I call the 6 elements. I have a YouTube video about this. So that is foliage, a focal flower, a line flower, a secondary focal, a filler, and some bits and pieces, which are those whimsical pieces. Our retail bouquets are designed so they are created to be put in a vase and people don't have to do any design with them. So Lisa may have more tips for you about how to put together market bouquets, how to do them quickly, how to make them affordable. Ours are more designed, and we sell our bouquets for $35 and $60 at our shop on Saturdays. Somebody asked what zone we're in. We're in 7A. Any Success Hydrating Monarda Lambada. Again, we are sourcing flowers from farmers, so we expect that those flowers are being harvested correctly and hydrated correctly, and when they come to us, they should be fully hydrated. Somebody's asking what a good price range for peonies are per stem. That depends on who you are selling your peonies to. Are you a farmer selling to an end user, or are you a farmer selling to a florist? We are buying our peonies right now between $3.50 and $5. That's wholesale. And then we are marking them up. So we are charging between $8 and $10 per stem for our peonies. So it really depends on who you are selling to as to what a good price would be. Let's see. Do you have a recipe for how you make bridal bouquets and bridesmaids bouquet? No recipe. Because we're sourcing locally, we have different flowers every single week. So there is no recipe. If you check out our YouTube, we do have videos on there showing you how to make a bridal bouquet, how to do a spiral technique. But it really just depends on who the customer is, what their color palette is, what their style is, what flowers we have available. So there's no recipe. We are making every bridal bouquet, every bridesmaid bouquet different and new each week. It's a one-of-a-kind situation. Okay, somebody said, I'm hoping to sell to florists. I've researched wholesale pricing, but wondering if I should be selling with comparable prices as the wholesaler, or should it be adjusted lower or higher? I don't want to burn any bridges. That's a great question. There's a lot that goes into pricing. If you check out my short course, Preparing to Sell to Florists, we talk a lot about pricing and all of the things that go into pricing. And one is checking out what your local wholesaler is selling flowers for. So you have to really determine, is your product higher quality than what the wholesaler is selling? For a customer, like for me as the florist, what am I getting from you that I would not be getting from the wholesaler? Better customer service, better varieties, more unique varieties. If that's the case, then I think your price should be higher than the wholesaler. I don't really see any situation where your price should be lower than the wholesaler. That's just my opinion. But if you want to check out the short class, like I said, it's $50, but it goes through all of the things that go into pricing. So what are your competitors pricing at? What can the market bear? What are your inputs? What's the wholesaler doing? What are historic prices? So there's a lot that goes into where do you want to be in the marketplace? Do you want to be the highest price? Do you want to be the lowest price? Do you want to be in the middle? And what does that say about your brand and your company? So there's a lot that goes into it. All right, let's see. Someone says, hi, Ellen. If someone were to ask you why you prefer local flowers over imported, what would you say as an elevator pitch? That's a great question. So usually I say that 80% of the flowers that are sold in the United States are imported. There are several reasons why I choose local flowers over imports. One is the environmental impact that imported flowers have on our environment. So flowers that are traveling from South America to my shop in Baltimore are traveling almost 5,000 miles to get to me. That means they are using refrigerated trucks, refrigerated airplanes, refrigerated train cars, and all of that requires gasoline, oil, lots of inputs. And so for me, I do not want to have my flowers have the environmental footprint that an imported flower has. My flowers come from within 100 miles of Baltimore. Most of my flowers come from a very short distance away, within 20 miles, which means that the environmental footprint for the travel is much lower than what imported flowers are. That's the first reason. The second reason is that I want to support local growers in my community. I want to keep money in my own community. So I make money. I want to give that money back to the growers in my community because they own land in my community. They hire people in my community. So I want to make sure that the money that I'm making stays in my local community. The next reason is because the quality of local flowers, I find, is much better than imported flowers for the most part. Also, you can get varieties of flowers locally that you can't get imported. There are plenty of flowers that cannot ship, including zinnias. I mean, zinnias are such a basic flower, but they do not ship. So zinnias, poppies, there's lots that, think of all of the specialty things like specialty pansies. There's all kinds of flowers that cannot be shipped in, and those are the flowers that I want to specialize in. So that's way longer than an elevator pitch, but those are some of my reasons. Let's see. I'll tell you that, just following up on that question, the reason I started sourcing locally right from the beginning was because I knew that people in my community wanted to have weddings with smaller environmental footprints. They did not want to have a lot of waste. They did not want to have things being shipped all over the world for their wedding. And so I wanted to provide them a product that was from their own community that spoke to the day that they were getting married. So, if you're getting married in August and you have lisianthus and you have sunflowers and you have zinnias, that looks like August. So I really wanted to connect local farmers who had flowers and local customers who were getting married together so that our wedding couples could have local flowers at their weddings. There was really nobody doing that now. I know there's tons of people doing that now, and that's terrific. But 20 years ago, that was not the case. Somebody asked a great question: what kind of shoes do you recommend to support your feet all day? I have have had all kinds of problems because I stand on concrete all day. And oftentimes that's for 8 or 10 or 12 hours a day. And I have had horrible plantar fasciitis, especially during wreath season when we are really just standing on cold concrete all day. I do have fatigue mat. We do all kinds of exercises in preparation. I have orthotics, but right now I am using Hoka sneakers. The Arahi 7 is the variety that I use, or the variety, that's like a flower talk, is the kind of sneaker that I wear. And I find that they are the most comfortable, but I also use an insert called ProFoot, which has been really helpful. And I do tons of exercises and I do yoga. And when it's really bad, my plantar fasciitis is gone right now, but it usually comes back in the winter. But I'm trying really hard to not have that happen. Fun question though. I actually have a whole video. If you go to YouTube, I have a whole video about all the things that I've done to try to help my plantar fasciitis, get rid of it. All right, let's see. Can you share how your flower farmers usually approach you about the products they have? Do you send availability lists, photos, or reach out in another way? Great question. And I was going to share an example here. So the best way for a flower farmer to approach me is like this, with an email. And the things in the email I would like to see are an introduction. So your name, your farm name, a little bit about you. It doesn't have to be crazy, just a little bit. Like, how long have you been in business? How much area do you grow on? What kind of stuff do you specialize in? Something to let me know who you are. If you can share your website or your social media handles, great. Then I want to know what you have available. And so I need to know what flowers you have. That can be in an availability list, and I can talk more about that. So in the availability list, I need to know what the flowers are, what the length of those flowers are, how many you have available, what the price is, what the colors are, and then a photo. Please understand that florists are visual buyers. We are going to buy when we see beautiful flowers. That's how it works. So you must have a picture. If you don't have a picture, you will not make sales. I'm just telling you right now. If you have a beautiful photo, you will make sales. This is a time of year when farmers are starting to have a lot of product available. So I'm starting to get a lot of emails. Do you want to buy this? I have this. I got an email the other day from somebody who put a note in on my order, like my form on my website, like a info form. And it said, "Hi, I'm a new flower farmer. I heard that you are interested in buying local flowers. Would you be interested in buying some purple allium? Thanks for your time." That was the whole email. There was no name. There was no contact information. There was no farm name. There was no Instagram handle. There was no price. There was no photo. There was nothing. So for me as the buyer, that means I have to do a lot of work to figure out what it is that you have. So I have to take time to email you back. And mind you, this was the week before Mother's Day. I have to take time to email you back and say, how much do they cost? How do I get them? Do you deliver? How much is the delivery? How do I pay you? Could you send a picture of them? How tall are they? Do you have 200 of them? Because if you do, then there was none of that information. So understand that as the seller, your job is to make the selling process or the buying process easy for the buyer. Because picture if it was you. I tried to tell this to a farmer the other day. Say somebody emailed you during Mother's Day week, so you're already crazed busy. You have your own family, you've got your own stuff, and it says, "Dear so-and-so, I heard you're a flower farmer. I'm a new nursery person. Would you be interested in buying some Baptisia plants? Thanks for your time." Again, gives you no information. Maybe you do need Baptisia plants. I don't know. But you don't have any of the information that you need in order to make a decision. So be sure to give the florist all of the information that they need to make a decision. I hope that answers the question. I'm happy to answer any follow-up questions. Okay, we have another question. Do daisies arrive to you in bud phase? How long do they last in a vase? Do you consider them a focal flower, and what flowers do you pair with them? What kind of daisies do you mean? Just a standard white daisy with a yellow center? Those we rarely use. And I'll tell you, if we did use them, they should come closed, and they would probably go in a wrapped bouquet, like a mixed bouquet. The reason we don't use very many of them is because, they have, especially white, they tend to bruise and they tend to lose petals. And once that happens, we can't really use them. So unless it's a wedding that said, "I love daisies, they're my favorite thing," we would search those out. But otherwise, we're not just using those standard white with a yellow center daisies. If you're thinking of another daisy, let me know. I don't even know what's another daisy. Gerber daisy. We do use those sometimes. Gerbers are different and big and colorful. We don't often use echinacea, which looks like a daisy, but isn't a daisy, but has the same issues as daisies, is that their petals fall off sometimes. So we don't usually often use those. So I hope that answers that question. All right. What is your opinion on when you see bugs in your flowers, especially when your growers are growing organically? No problem. If you were another florist, or if I were another florist, so let's not use me as an example, a florist who is not so understanding or open or understands how farming works. If I were the farmer, before I start selling to them, I would preface, I grow organically. I don't use any chemical sprays. Here's how I get rid of pests through IPM or some other way, whatever you do. There may be bugs on your flowers sometimes. And, we are meticulous about trying to check them before they go out, but we may miss one or two. Not that bugs are going to be the standard on all of your flowers. Make it clear that you are meticulous about checking for any bugs or anything like that. But just to give people a heads up about what organic growing really means. So for me, it's, if I see a ladybug, or the issue is if you had we've had cut poinsettias that have come in with, covered in whiteflies. I mean, that's a different story. Then we really can't use them. We can't send, a product into somebody's house covered in whiteflies or covered in aphids. So if it's a bug, if it's one single bug, a ladybug, no big deal. But obviously if it's covered in bugs, that's not great. And I would just make sure that your florists understand what growing organically means, so that they understand, if they see a bug, what that means. All right, let's see. We just got past Mother's Day. It was a busy, crazy week. Mother's Day is always our busiest week because we also have like graduation issues and events and things like that. So Mother's Day, we just got past Mother's Day. Let's see. Somebody said, do you have a preferred hydrangea color or type? We will be heavy in the hydrangeas. You know what? I'm going to be honest, we don't use a ton of hydrangeas. I know florists do. So, great. We don't because I am sometimes worried about wilting. Let me say this. I have to buy hydrangeas from growers that I know are experienced with hydrating hydrangeas correctly, because hydrangeas are prone to wilting, and I just can't send a product out that's prone to wilting. So I have to make sure that I'm working with a grower who understands how to hydrate hydrangeas. So other than that, I don't have a favorite. Everybody loves like a blue mop head, or I love oak leaf. I love all of them. They're great. I just don't use them a ton. Let's see. Are sweet peas a flower that you frequently buy and use? Yes, love them. We have a bunch of growers that grow them, mostly indoors. So mostly they are coming from either a greenhouse or a hoop house. And yeah, we love them. Use them all the time. They usually come to us in 10 stem bunches. Some growers only sell the flowers. Some sell flowers and foliage together. That's a preference that you have to decide how you want to sell them. The only drawback on sweet peas a lot of times is that they can be short if they are not grown in a way that stretches those stems, like, cordoning or something like that. But yeah, we use them. We love them. They're great for like bridal bouquets and centerpieces where, you can really see those small whimsical details. Because they're not that big, I generally don't put them just in a retail bouquet because I think sometimes they get lost. So we use them more for like specialty items. Somebody asked about ways we like to use bunny tail grass. We use those a lot for personal flowers like bouquets, boutonnieres, corsages, things like that. We also use them dried. We mostly dry them and use them in dried bouquets because they're so cute. And we use them in mixed bouquets. The issue with bunny tail grass is it also is not always that tall. So it kind of gives us a little bit of a limiting factor around those. But we do love them for sure. All right, let's see. Do you want your flowers delivered in holding solution? Honestly, I want the farmer to know how to harvest and deliver the flowers best to me. So if there are flowers like zinnias that are dirty flowers and they need one of those CVBN tablets, like, I need you to know that. I'm not an expert in that. So I want the flowers to come to me in the best form they can, whatever that is. So it's really, for me, on the farmer to figure out all of that post-harvest care stuff. And honestly, post-harvest care can really set you apart as a farmer, because if you do post-harvest care well and you are delivering flowers to florists in the correct harvest stage with the correct solutions, yeah, I think that is a great way to set yourself apart. Good question. Do you expect your stems to be stripped of leaves? Yes, 100%. If you go to a wholesaler and you check out how flowers are sold at the wholesaler, that is a good way to see, sort of what's expected, what a florist is expecting. So absolutely. And I would say, for any stem, if you're keeping the top few leaves on, that's great. But for the most part, your stems should be clean. We should not be getting any stems that have leaves in the water or anything like that. 2 books I can suggest on post-harvest care and how to sort of present to florists. The Seattle Wholesale Growers Market has a new standards book, which is amazing. Highly recommended. It's $100, but it is gold. It will tell you exactly how to harvest every flower that you can imagine and how to present it to a florist. Number of stems in a bunch, how tall they should be, all of that. So highly recommend that. And then the ASCFG post-harvest care book is also awesome. So I think those 2 together will really set you up for success. Let's see if there's any other questions. I love the scent of Sweet Annie. We use it dried, use it as a green in bouquets. You know what? It's so funny that you say that. I love the smell of Sweet Annie. And I used to get it when I first started out, but nobody really is offering it anymore. And I don't know enough about it to say if that's a good or a bad thing, because I have been trying to research, invasives and plants that are invasive, and really trying not to use things that are invasive. And for some reason, Sweet Annie, I'm not saying it's invasive. I don't know anything more about it except I like the smell and I like how it looks. But I don't know. We're not getting it offered really at all anymore. Not sure why. All right, you guys, it's time to get back to work. I am so thrilled that you are here. Repeat the name of the book. There's 2 of them. From the Seattle Wholesale Growers Market, you can just search Seattle Wholesale Growers Market. It's their standards book. And then the ASCFG Post-Harvest Care Book. Those are the 2. And if you want to message me, so you can find me on Instagram at Ellen Frost Flowers. You can look up my website, ellenfrost.com. I'm on YouTube at Ellen Frost Flowers. You can find me all of those places. You can always send me a direct message. And the best way to stay in contact with me is to join our newsletter, because that is where all of this information and more good stuff, that's where I put everything in the newsletter. So if you're interested in joining my newsletter, send me a DM or start following us on social media. Maybe I'll send you a DM. And I hope you guys have a great season. I probably will be back maybe in a couple weeks, couple months. You'll see me here again. In the meantime, have a great summer and hope to see you again soon. Take care, everyone.